What's going on, Bread fans? My name is Jay of Insane Coaster Junkie, and welcome to the very second episode of Right on Track, where we are right on track for another discussion here. And I'm sorry I have not done another podcast episode in a while. I just wanted to see how the first one went, plus I got really busy with Christmas season here at my job and everything else, so now we kind of just winded down a little bit. I can start working on some podcast episodes again. So today's topic is actually going to be a really good one because it is now 2025, and we have a lot of questions surrounding the season. And we kind of ended the 2024 season on the fringes of 2024. So we have some stuff that are fresh in our minds that I can build up to. But we have a lot of questions going into the future and beyond, and how this could affect my season, both as an enthusiast and as a content creator. So if you have not seen the Front Zero teaser, then you might have to watch that before you watch this podcast episode. That way you are up to speed with everything. But for those who are caught up, I am going to be asking about 10 questions to myself of varying degrees. I'm going to try to limit it to one per park, but there are some home park overlaps, so I will note those when I do. And those 10 questions will consist of things regarding my home park, specific attractions opening or closing, how my video plans will be structured, etc., etc. So there will be quite a few things that will borderline structure the channel going forward and see where I'm going to be as a content creator, because I have plans and I want to apply them in the most professional way possible. So I'm not going to waste any more time, and I'm going to get right into the first question, which will be a Waldameer-centric home park question. And I know a lot of the locals are wondering, will Time Twister be a good addition to the park? For those who are unfamiliar, Time Twister is the brand new Zamperla Nebulas ride that is coming this year. It is set to replace the former Spider, which operated for 47 seasons. And now Spider has been relocated to Territorium in Oxford, Alabama, as part of their Halloween event, which that place also consists of an Ellie Bridge Ferris wheel and the defunct Bill Tracy Dark Ride Haunted Castle from the closed Miracle Strip amusement park. A lot of history behind that place, but Time Twister will be a brand new ride, and this comes with a lot of questions myself, because I've personally never ridden a Nebulas, and I've actually been predicting a Nebula since COVID. And I figure another family thrill ride would be a perfect fit, so Time Twister kind of just flopped right there. And it's a pretty much a mesmerizing experience of rising, floating, falling, dodging. And if you look at this ride from an off-ride perspective, it is very mesmerizing. Intertwining with each other, a lot of near misses. It looks very thrilling. And from some of the POVs I have watched from various other parks like Adventure Dome, Pigeon Forge, such and such, it looks like a really good ride. It looks like it has some good near miss maneuvers. It looks like it has some solid airtime. But I have a few cutbacks on this where my opinion says a little bit of no. And those are from in-person experiences, both directly and indirectly. So I know a friend of mine, Nate, who I worked with at Waldameer for some time, and he has personally ridden a Zamperla Nebulas at Hershey Park, mixed, which is the Jolly Rancher variant. And from his perspective, he waited about a half hour for the ride, and it only operated on half capacity. There are only two methods for operating. You can do a 16-90-60, in which that means you load 16, run for 90 seconds, another 16 load, and another 90. Or you could do the 32-180, which you load all 32 and do the full 180-second cycle. Due to some mechanical issues, they were only running half capacity, died the line down. And Waldameer is a park that is experiencing more crowds, so I assume they would do the 32-180. Considering how Spider operated in a similar degree where it would load 4 tubs and then the other 4 tubs would not, I'm afraid they are going to do the 16-90. I'm not sure, but I hope it's not the reduced capacity. But the other problem, he said that it was mid. It was not the most forceful ride in the world. It wasn't really too exciting. And that kind of makes me nervous because this is supposed to be a family thrill ride. It's got over-the-shoulder restraints. It has a low height requirement of 42 inches. So I'm afraid the OTSRs may be hindering some airtime, or the ride will be forceless. But I'm not expecting, chaos levels of intensity, because that thing is the most intense flat ride in the park. This is more of a family thrill ride, and if you knew how Spider operated, it kind of operated as like a family thrill ride on its own. So if it's on a varying degree of Time Twister, I will be pretty much satisfied on that. If not, then there may be some issues with it. I don't think it's going to be a Factory of Sadness ride like Whirlwind.
You are a Factory of
Whirlwind
Sadness!
seemed promising at first, and then they kind of just dudded into a ride I just forget. Far from it. I think this is going to be the best family ride added in years, but I'm a little nervous about that. But I also got some experience myself at Hershey Park itself back in December, and while the ride wasn't operating during the Christmas event, I got to see the ride plot and how it would look, and it looks pretty good. It's a very small plot of land. I don't think there's going to be a lot to it, and I even got to see it in person at Waldameer when I went to go renew my season pass a couple of days ago, and the plot of land looks very small, and it's going to be very interesting how that can bust onto the midway, in a way. So, will Time Twister be a good ride at Waldameer? Absolutely. No matter what, it will be a solid ride. Personally, I am going to have a sense of careful optimism. I plan to be there for Season Pass Photo Weekend in April, so it'll be time will tell, no pun intended, on what Time Twister will do for me. Which leads me to question 2. Will I get the chance to ride Steel Curtain and or Top Thrill 2 this season, despite the issues going on with these rides? So, I have a little bit of a history with both of them, a bit rough history. And I'm going to start with Steel Curtain, the elephant in the room here. 2019, I got there, and I went there a month before it opened. It was still under construction at the time, so I completely missed it. 1 month later, it opened without a soft opening period, and experienced quite some issues there. I remember an ex-best friend of mine waited about 4 hours for it opening day, which seems reasonable because they were only running one train. 2020, COVID happened. I didn't go to the park, but the coaster was closed all year because of a seatbelt modification with the trains, so I didn't get to ride it. 2021, it reopened. It had an okay year, kind of quietly closed midway through Fall Fest. I didn't go to the park, so I didn't get to ride it. 2022, I would come back to the park for the first time since 2019, finally got the credit on it, and I thought it was an incredible ride, and it ran pretty much okay throughout the year, and then again, it quietly closed midway through Fall Fest. 2023, kind of the same thing, got back to Kennywood, rode it a couple times. Literally 1 week after I rode it, it closed again, and it hasn't reopened since. 2024, we found out it had a lot of structure issues, and it'd be closed for the entire year.
Unit lost.
Cements itself as a lawn ornament status, and recently we found out it will be ready to open in 2025.
Unit ready.
So Steel Curtain has had a rough history. It has not opened for a full season, nor has it ever been open for opening day. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it's not going to be ready for opening day in April. But hopefully within late April or May, it'll be ready to open and I'll get some new and updated rides. Because when Steel Curtain is open, it's a fantastic ride. Despite me being a Browns fan and having a hatred towards the Steelers, it's an excellent coaster, and the theme works. The theme works for the Pittsburgh area. All the Yinzers are happy. But Steel Curtain is an excellent ride when it is open, but I think it will be more of a likelihood it will be open because they have been doing some work during Fall Fest and Holiday Lights, as I've noticed from my fall and winter visits. So there is some attention being done to it, and that way the structure improvements can be more braced and ready to go. If the problems just continue and it's a massive headache for the park, just remove the thing already, and something else can be in its spot. As for Top Thrill 2, this is kind of a tougher pill to swallow there. It was a tough one because I haven't ridden it yet. I've ridden the original Dragster twice in my life, once in 2018 and once in 2019, and that was it. 2020, COVID happened. I didn't go to the park, but it was only operating under the Access Pass program back then during COVID. 2021, I went back to the park, but however, just a few weeks prior, that's when that traumatic accident happened, when the girl got struck in the head, and the coaster closed right after the fact. 2022, I didn't go back to the park. It stood SB&O. 2023, I went back to the park. It was announced that it would be something would be changing for 2024. There were some repainting progress going on when I went. However, it was still SB&O. Then later that summer, it was announced it'd be Top Thrill 2. It'd be manufactured by Zamperla. And then 2024 came around, ready to ride that thing in June. However, once it opened, 8 days. 8 freaking days.
Zamperella's going to screw this up.
It's all it took, and it went SB&O for the rest of the year. I didn't get to ride it in June. I didn't get to ride it in November. Total dud. Now we get into question 3, because this one's an interesting one. It has some back history. So, Mindy Racer at Six Flags Darien Lake closed for all of 2024 to undergo renovations. With the improvements coming to the ride, will this help boost my ranking like it did to Predator? And let's go back a few years ago for context. So, Predator is this Din wooden coaster that sucked. It was horrible. My last ride on it before the improvements was 2017 in the back row, and I vowed to never ride that thing again. And then a few years later, we found out about the GCI Titan track, which was tested on White Lightning at Fun Spot Orlando. However, some would be also going to Predator at Darien Lake, which I was very optimistic about because Predator just sucked. It was the worst coaster I've ever ridden up to that point, and anything to that ride could be improved on it. Everyone was saying about an RMC conversion. I still do not believe that. And the Titan track solidifies why more would be added. The Titan track is so smooth. The transitions between wood and steel are a little jarring. However, the steel track in the most problematic sections in the ride, including the dive turn beneath the lift hill and the first turnaround, have been improved drastically. 2023, there were some more Titan track added, and in 2024, even more Titan track. 2024, that thing is a top 20 coaster at this point. This thing went from the worst coaster on my list all the way to top 20. This thing is awesome, and I got the best ride I ever did back in October, front row at night. And man, this coaster just hauls. The steel track is so good. It even got some additional airtime that the rough sections of the wood track did not. So Predator is a really good ride. It's my second favorite ride in the park now. So Mindy Racer, let's look at the new improvements. A new repaint, which looks fantastic because I don't think I got a repaint in about 10-15 years. So now we have an intimidating dark red. It looks awesome. And the biggest new improvement to this is going to be two new trains. And it's going to be awesome. They're going to be the new gen Vekoma trains with the Vest restraints. I've only ridden one coaster, actually two coasters with the Vest restraints, both boomerangs at Carowinds and Hershey. And the Vest restraints are super comfortable. They are not restrictive at all towards the torso. Again, I am 6'3", so it is a little bit higher up on me. But even at my height, it is still very comfortable to ride. So I am very optimistic that those trains will be more comfortable towards that. In terms of the rattling, that's something the old trains had. And honestly, for years, it was running a Franken train, which is a train of pretty much garbled pieces. So the thing did not run the best thing ever. The Mindy Racer improvements can only go so far. If it sucks, then we just know that Mindy Racer is just a terrible ride as is. But if we look at other SLCs like Professor Screamore Skywinder, Riddler Revenge, Fly the Great Nor'easter, that stuff, and those SLCs have drastically improved the ride experience, I have confidence that Mindy Racer will be. But again, I'm just going to go this with like the Time Twister line. I'm going to do this with careful optimism. Yes, the ride will be improved on, and it will probably no longer be the worst coaster in the park, but Mindy Racer will be a solid coaster. Because again, if you look at the layout itself, like the actual elements, it's a really good ride. It's just executed so poorly. No! Like I said before, I think it will, but only to a certain extent. So, question 4. This is about a new for 2025 coaster, Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. Will this be a good addition, and is this a preview on the company's future? So, if you did not know, Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged together as one unified company. So, and we've only got to see a little bit of what they're already doing, in which a lot of the ride removals have been already done with like King Ka, Green Lantern, Anaconda, Nighthawk, stuff like that. But we also got a preview that they will be investing over $1 billion in 2026. Parks like Six Flags Great Adventure, over Texas, and whatnot are planning to get new coasters. Same with Magic Mountain. So I doubt a new coaster will come after Siren's Curse. They just removed Snake River Falls over the off season, which was a very sad time for me because I actually enjoyed Snake River. But I am optimistic the new coaster there at the earliest 2027 will go in that plot of land. They usually don't wait too long in between coasters. But Siren's Curse itself, this is a unique coaster because this was originally not supposed to be at Cedar Point. It originally was going to be at Energylandia as their tilt coaster, but the project got canceled there. Then Six Flags Mexico picked it up due to some environmental concerns. The Mexican government pretty much said,
what the Sigma?
So it looks like Cedar Point and Vekoma struck up a deal for very cheap to get this coaster, and it is now being in a plot of land that used to be a dormitory. However, I do see my pros and cons. The cons, it looks very similar to Valraven, and it's going to do something very similar to Valraven. The vertical drop. However, this will be a tilting drop, which will be the first tilt coaster in America if it opens on time. However, Siren's Curse is no slouch. It's got some really good elements that I'm looking forward to, such as the low-to-ground zero-G rolls. It looks like it has some really good airtime in the middle. So I cannot wait to see what this coaster has to offer. And this will be the first large-scale Vekoma coaster to come to the United States. We had some smaller ones like Dragonflyer and Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, so it will really see how the large-scale Vekoma coasters will go in America. And they have been very popular across Europe and Asia, and we haven't really been used to that in America, so it is going to be quite the interesting push for that. It's going to be 160 feet tall, 58 miles an hour, 2 inversions, various airtime moments, and it will have vest restraints. So again, kind of like I said about the whole situation with my new racer, it's the modern vest restraints Vekoma has. I'm sure that it's going to be a very comfortable ride. This is going to be an awesome ride. I am very excited to see how this is. Will this be one of the best coasters at Cedar Point? That's going to be a tough pill to swallow because it's all going to depend on the ride experience. Again, I've never experienced a new gen Vekoma yet, so I have not much experience in Vekomas, just all the crappy ones. So I'm looking forward to see what a new gen Vekoma will do, and this will give the pavement to other parks. So going on to my next question, we have another one here, and this is something I've been saying every year, and this is kind of just beating the horse at this point. Will Conneaut Lake Park live to see another year? This park has been through pretty much hell and high water ever since the new ownership in 2021 when Todd Joseph took over the park. And I'm going to spend very little time on this question because I have a lot of disrespect for the park and the ownership, and I don't want to get myself sued. But I'm just going to wrap this up here. Why is Conneaut Lake Park still going at this rate? When I thought the park could go lower, it finds somewhere else to dig and then go from there. It's like the Cleveland Browns of the amusement industry. 2024 was a weird year for the park because somehow rides were open on weekends when it has not even happened since 2021. And what rides were open were literally just the go-kart track, mini golf, and carousel. And Ghost Lake happened, so Devil's Den and Tilt-A-Whirl were open, which was weird. And then when I went back again, somehow Octopus was open. It was one of the strangest years I've ever experienced that park. Yeah, that park is pretty much done for good. How much more can it drag itself to the ground? If it's not dead by 2030, there's something wrong with that park. But somehow I keep going back to the park due to historical purposes on the channel, where the park ties for me and for the older fans that are older than 25. Will Conneaut Lake Park live to see another year? Unfortunately, yes. But if it's not gone by 2030, then something's wrong.
That was pathetic.
Alright, question 6. We're going to get into now logistics of the channel and talking about the video plans. And the question 6 here says, how will videos be structured this season and how will this affect the channel? And again, if you have not seen the From Zero announcement video, then I recommend going watching this, then coming back here. So I have some context to add. That will pretty much give you the explanation of everything I want to do this season. Obviously, this podcast here, Right on Track, is one of those projects I want to do in my spare time. My plan is to do once a month. That will be a good way to experience fresh ideas, that I can spend more time editing them and perfecting them, because the problem with the previous podcast, I pretty much sat there unfiltered and just said, all right, F this, I'm just going to upload it as is. And that just did not work. I did that for a month straight and I was burned out. And the other thing that I was working on, which I technically started in the fringe ends of 2024, and I really want to go into high gear in 2025, is the shorts aspect. But the in 60-second shorts are like recorded trip reports. Just small little highlights of what I did, of basically a VOSOT in the news world, where you have your VO talking about some stuff, and then you have a sound on tape or SOT talking about the most important things. So, like, for example, thoughts of the Waldemir season coming up, Wildcats revenge, etc., etc. The most important things get the SOT, where everything else gets the VO. And I can only explain so much in 60 seconds. And I already have ideas of where I want to go. It's just going to be a matter of, will I have the day off for it? Will I have time? Will I be able to afford it? So I have plenty of ideas written down, and for like the home parks like Waldemir and Kennywood, those will only be for the key visits, so like opening day, an ACE event, etc. So I already have 4 of them made: Waldemir, Kennywood, Splash Lagoon, Hershey Park, and I plan on doing them at my best convenience. And I also am going to do 2 construction updates at both Hope Parks, one at Waldemir and one at Kennywood, talking about the new additions. So at Waldemir, I'll pretty much get the first ever POV of Time Twister, and hopefully, if when I get to Kennywood, Steel Curtain will be open, hopefully so I can get a reanalysis of that and talk about all the new things. And between both parks, there's a lot of new things going on, and there's a lot of questions, especially on Waldemir's end, for the next 2 seasons beyond that. I'm not allowed to talk about what it is, but let's just say I know some things, but I'm not allowed to spill them here. It's pretty cool, though. So I have those in mind. And then vlogs, those are going to be the only other things I do, and I have a few ideas of where to go for that. Some of them, I'm not going to talk about what parks they are. If you look at the teaser, there is sort of a clue, but there will also be answered in other questions. But I plan on uploading at least 3 vlogs from new places, and then 1 place returning. I kind of did that with Connie at Lake Park this past year, which went well, so I'd like to do that with another park, and I'm probably deciding on Darien Lake this year as a return vlog, because I have a lot more things to say about that park. Plus, with the water park complete, I can do a full day at Darien Lake, open to close, without worrying about doing anything high-end, and I can just focus on the entire park at my own leisure. And if I really wanted to, I can add the Halloween event too. So it's just, it's a park I'm comfortable that I can film at again properly with a vlog. So I think Darien Lake will be the next returning vlog. And then there are some side projects I want to work on as well. I have some live streams that I'm going to be doing, only 2 this year, one for the Super Bowl and one for my channel anniversary. Those are going to be much smaller in scale, but those are going to be just as excited as the previous live stream, so I have nothing much to do. And probably the other main one is a largest project in Waldemir history. I'm not going to tell you what this is. This one I'm going to be pretty secretive about. But it's going to be my largest project in park history. Question 7, kind of going on that. What are my plans for my 2 home parks, Waldemir and Kennywood, this season? I am both a season pass holder to Waldemir and Kennywood, respectively, right now. This is only a matter of when I'm going to go to Kennywood, because I went 11 times last year and 38 to Waldemir. But, of course, I'm going to be still visiting Waldemir no matter what. I just renewed my season pass the other week, so you know I'm going to be there. And, of course, I kind of mentioned the plans already of where I'm going to be. And I know a lot of fans come from all around at both parks. And I'm just going to say this now. I am not available for meetups this year. If I know you personally, that is different. And I am more than welcome to hang out with you. But if you're just a random fan, like, oh, put me in a video, put me in a video. I saw this at Hershey Park, and this really angered me. They're like, put me in a video, put me in a video. No, you're not being in a video. I am not afraid to shoo away people now, because honestly, meeting up with so many people at once overwhelms me that I kind of just want to stick to myself or my close friend group, or the close people that I know are going to be there that day. Because if there's too much people, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, the autism kicks in, and yeah, I can't handle it. So the amount of anxiety at parks nowadays is just kind of up there, so I'm just kind of just trying to do what's best for my mental health. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it there. So I will be filming, but not all the time anymore, and that's about it. Question 8. What new parks can I easily drive to within a day's trip? And is it worth doing? Now, there are a couple parks on this. I have 3 of them, actually, that I have to highlight here. Probably the easiest of the 3 is Del Grosso's, which is a small little park outside of Altoona. And if somehow Lakemont Park opens again, that will also be in a key difference. But Del Grosso's would be an easy one for me for a day trip to combine with Kennywood or with another trip. Del Grosso's is one that I've been experimenting with for Pennsylvania completion, because whenever I do a Pennsylvania park, it blows up because it is my home state, and people just eat that thing. So if I do another hidden Pennsylvania park, people are going to go crazy for it. I think it's worth it if I combine it with another park. The other one is like Columbus, Ohio. That's about the same distance as Del Grosso's. This is kind of another situation where there's multiple places that I can use to get credits. Like the Columbus Zoo has 2 credits, the SBF Visa Spinner at Scene 75, and if I go at the same time as the Ohio State Fair, that adds even more opportunities. So if I combine all those together, that could be warranted as a day trip, aka a vlog of its own. And then the other one, I'm talking about new parks. This is a bit of a stretch, but somehow if I proved it earlier on, I could probably do it. Kings Island. Now, this is something I've been trying to chase since COVID, but again, the fear of COVID back then and then the intimidating drive itself has feared me. But considering I've done Hershey and back, and that's pretty much 5 hours on the dot and back in one day, I think Kings Island is technically doable. As long as I put in the maintenance in the car, that is all it matters. Somehow it ran fine Hershey and back. But theoretically speaking, it is possible. But it's just examples of like, now that I pretty much have all the close parks within 2 to 3 hours, it is now time to spread out past 3-hour marks to parks. And if they have a decent lineup, that's great. But if not, we're going to have to combine it with other parks to deem the whole day worth it. Which leads me to question 9 here. What will this year's big trip go to? Alright, here's how we do this. Now, every year since 2023, I have done a big long-distance trip, either flying or driving. So, 2023 was the J-Lanta experience. 2024 was Solar Revolution, aka J-Lando. And now, where do we stand in 2025? So, if you didn't know, the parks I did in 2023 were Fun Spot Atlanta and Six Flags Over Georgia. In 2024, I did Knoebels, SeaWorld Orlando, Busch Gardens Tampa, the 2 Fun Spot parks, and Niagara Amusement Park. And in 2025, I'm not really going to give you the parks because we are still working on this with like 3 other people. However, I am going to give you the name of the trip, but the trip name I have for this one is Mid-J-Lantic. So you can pretty much put in pen and paper what parks are going to be on this trip that will get me closer to 200 credits. I'm at 145 as of this recording, and if everything goes to plan, I will be close to 200, but won't reach it.
That was easy.
But we are still working on that, on the financials and everything else. It's looking like they're going to be around the same cost as J-Lando. It is going to be a big scale trip. And then question 10, I hate to end this off on a negative note here. It is good to look at these parks from a different perspective. Question 10, what parks will be removed from my list and never visit again? And that is a very small list of parks, because I don't go to a lot of parks and say, oh, I'm never going to go there again. So we're just going to look at my repertoire of returning parks and just see what can be done again and what not. So obviously we have the big 4 that are around my area: Waldameer, Kennywood, Cedar Point, Six Flags, Darien Lake. Those are the big 4 that are never going to change. Those are pretty much all the local stuff. But now we get into the smaller stuff. Midway State Park is a tough asterisk one here because I don't see the need to go back there. I already have a vlog from 2023 that suffices everything. And the only time I will ever go back to that park is if I have to take a friend and get the credit for Little Dipper. And the other one is another tough one. It's Fun for All, the FEC. And again, this kind of lands on a situation if I'm going to Kennywood with a friend and they don't have the credit, I am going to record. I'm going to get them the credit but not record it. I did that last year with my buddy Luke. We stopped by Fun for All on the way home from Kennywood, and he got the Fiesta Express credit and dipped out within 15 minutes. Niagara Amusement Park, that's probably different. And obviously I want to take people to Niagara and Darien to get credits. That's obviously the goal. But Niagara, again, I don't really see going back there personally because I've done everything and there's not really much to offer. I've been pretty much copped out of my marathons at this point, and I can see the parks in a downward spiral. Conneaut Lake Park, Ghost Lake only if I get there, if I go to Ghost Lake. But again, that is going to be TBA. Same with Splash Lagoon. And probably Splash Lagoon is going to be the biggest time saver in my life, because Splash Lagoon's no longer doing those Fired Up Fridays from what I could see. And College Night, when I went in November, was an honest disaster. So I don't see myself going back to Splash Lagoon this year. If I have an opportunity to go, yes, but again, no recording. I don't think I see myself going back to Splash Lagoon in 2025. I ended off Fired Up Friday in December on a high note, so I don't see that. And then obviously all the small parks in Ohio, aka the first Ohio mass exodus, such as Memphis Kiddie Park, Fun Times Fun Park, Sluggers and Putters, Adventure Zone, those are all on the chopping block too. I don't need to go back those. I have credits. I don't need to go back and waste more money. So that's pretty much it of all the burning questions I have for 2025. I have some more personal goals on my life to get a full-time job, because right now I'm working part-time at Jet. Hopefully I can find a full-time opportunity within my career. My other goal is to move out of my house, from my mom's house, and get in my own apartment of some sorts, in conjunction of saving money for the park trips, saving money for an apartment, which I already saved money to get my car last year, so it's just pretty much another building block for that. I don't think I'll ever hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel. I don't really see myself growing. I've pretty much been in eternal stagnation since the end of 2023. But considering I've been on a stagnation, I hate to say it, I'm past my peak. I already hit my prime long time ago in 2019, it feels like. In 2023 was pretty much the last glory day. So I feel like 2024 and on, I'm pretty much past my peak and I'm just doing this for fun now. Yes, I take my trips way more seriously, but the videos, I pretty much just say, when I do a vlog, I just go unhinged, I just go ballistic. Obviously, I have my professional moments like the podcast and the in 60 seconds, but the vlogs and stuff, that's pretty much the true salt. So even though I'm technically retired when I'm not really, the core part of me of who I am is still there. We're just doing things a lot differently. And again, it's whenever I want, when I want, and it's in my own destiny. So I'm looking forward to see how the 2025 season is for the channel, both personally as a content creator and in like my personal life. We'll see how that goes. But I am more than ready for what's in store, and I cannot wait for basically season 11 of ICJ, as we call it. Yes, 11 seasons. That's a lot. I feel like I'm like SpongeBob right now. So I'm gonna go edit this, and then in the next episode I'll plan to have in February in some point. I hope I can stick to my once a month shtick, because that's what I enjoy doing and most comfortable with. And I will see you guys on the road very soon, right on track. Lux Eterna in a Murata.